name is Marifer Zacarias, and I am the Program Assistant for the Time's Up Legal Defense Fund and the Legal Network for Gender Equity here at the National Women's Law Center. I started in June of 2018, so shortly right after I graduated from college. I was their first hire from the team. I particularly work with Latinx communities or Latinx organizations that work with Latinx communities and workers, and how to break those stigmas, how to break and how to have those conversations of what is sexual harassment, you know, what's the difference between sexual harassment and just like a cultural gesture or just a hug, that for you and for us it might be, you know, just a familiar hug, but for someone else that could be definitely very uncomfortable.
It's confusing. There's the Me Too movement, there's Time's Up, and there's Time's Up Legal Defense Fund. And all of those are separate. But to understand those, I think that you have to go back to how all of them were created. So in November of 2017, the National Women's Law Center was responding to the Trump administration and what it saw as an attack on women's rights across the board. And so it created this thing called the Legal Network for Gender Equity. And that's a network of attorneys who have joined, who have agreed to help women fight sex discrimination. At the same time, there was the revelations of Harvey Weinstein and sexual harassment and assault in Hollywood, and that sparked Alyssa Milano to send out the now viral tweet about #MeToo. That tweet built on a long movement of work predominantly led by a woman named Tarana Burke, who's been fighting against sexual violence on behalf of girls, especially girls of color, for the past decade. And so Me Too started really getting more name recognition. And at that same time, a group of women, farm workers in an organization called Alianza Nacional de Campesinas, wrote a letter to women in Hollywood who were starting to mobilize around sexual violence at work. And they said, we see what you're going through, and we go through those same things, except that we aren't under the lights of Hollywood. We're in the fields and in factories. And we see you, we stand with you, but also don't forget that we're out here also. And so that prompted women to think about their experience in a broader context and really take it seriously, that any movement around this issue had to not just be about Hollywood, it had to be about all people that face sex discrimination and sexual harassment at work, and had to make sure that everyone had the same access to justice, not just the people at the top. So they raised money that created Time's Up, and Time's Up Legal Defense Fund came out of that, which is run by the National Women's Law Center.
And I'm actually leaving this Friday. Still want to be in the realm of women's rights and continue fighting. And yeah, it's a never-ending fight.
I think that this work can be really discouraging because we see it happens to everyone, everywhere, at all races, all genders, all class levels, and like it happens more in certain areas. But to know that like people are putting their lives and careers and money towards giving people a voice and giving people a way to fight the system is inspiring.